What makes someone reach beyond the boundaries of human experience to face the unknown? As children, we question the world around us. We learn, we accept, and gradually we lose our capacity for wonder. But some do not. The explorers, the seekers of truth. It is these pioneers who define the future of mankind.
Get your eyes and start. As you walk around this great big world, you start to understand. You have to hold on tight and then.
Hello and welcome to another edition of The Slice. This is Slice number 63. In this episode, I decided, since we've talked so much about ancient giants, I'd like to talk about giants in this day and age, or in the modern times. Now, we know some of them made it through the flood. We also know that humans interbred with the giants back in the days of before Noah, even, so very far back, as far as that kind of evidence is concerned. Now we have to look at genes that were left over from that time period popping up now and then. And does it happen often? And when it does, how big are these giants? Now, I'm not talking about the growth defects, which there's actually a couple of pictures in here that are actually growth defects. I'm talking about every aspect of the body is completely symmetrical, completely well done, and not the bad back problems and the curvature of the spines that you see in the ones with the growth defects, which is a whole different thing. We're talking about genetic perfection. This is the life form. Interestingly enough, the Palinakis skulls, I don't know if I said that right or not, but I'm sure I didn't. But those skulls actually came back as non-human DNA, which means they didn't interbreed with humans in that case. At least not that line. They could have been children. That person could have been married to a regular human. The point is that I don't believe myself that giants and humans were originally of the same stock. As a matter of fact, I believe that some races of modern humans to be transplanted from other planets, perhaps even crashed colonists or stranded travelers even. You don't know how this started. It could have been that simple, and over time it all got distorted, and Nordic gods, those were supposedly giants as well. Remember, if you were to have been genetically, if we were originally had evolved on this planet, there would be a few things that wouldn't happen. We would not burn in the sun. We wouldn't have bad backs just because we walk around. There's eye issues that don't seem to match up, and the oxygen for a human being is actually at a different level than what we've been breathing since we've been here. Now, we're not talking about all humans. Some humans can handle it fine, never have a back problem, because their stock might have been a different race, you know what I mean? Like black folks have a way different set of problems than Asians, and Asians have different problems than Nordics and Germans and Englishmen, and then you got the mixture of all of them causing all kinds of new situations. But if you look at it just by the race and look at what is affecting that race on this planet the most, you start to see a pattern of different planets involved with the evolution of that particular race. The Asians are a good example. I was talking with a fellow who he had got from a scientist that the humans, such as Asians, probably didn't evolve here because their eyes would have been something that would have evolved, say, on a twin sun situation. With two suns, you'd have a different amount of light available in the air at any one time, and probably pretty high. It might account for the skin tone as well. So you see, originally it could have been, well, it must have been a pretty big group. With the Mongols were a big group. But anyway, they just multiplied like rabbits, basically, because Genghis Khan and all those guys didn't help. But anyway, that's way far after when I think this happened. A lot of these races were probably brought here during the Ice Age. I believe the giants to be an indigenous race, along with advanced reptilian races. Some of the giant races were also advanced, if you remember the other shows that I did on giants. Some of the giants around the areas of Death Valley had electricity and ships, special ships. Although originally they were said to have come in on the sea when the water was in Death Valley. And then at some point, the Hopis say that the valley drained, and then the giants in the mountain used flying ships to get to their cave mouth. I found that interesting. So that's a place I'm going to go check out in my travels, I assure you. So anyway, let's go look at some videos of large giants in this day and age. And you'll love this. This is some great stuff. Let's take a look now. So here we have a giant in the Chinese province of Jiangsu, and where he's a whopping 8 feet tall. Nice big fellow. Is he a giant or just simply tall? Well, what about this guy? This guy actually was a birth defect that he eventually died from. Here's a big girl, lots of love here. Perfectly proportioned, no issues. This also is giganticism, slight DNA issues with this here was genetic, completely, totally no health issues, no anything. Same here. Oh, so, if I can get this out. Just Ted Cruz. I will skip that. Okay, here we have different countries. India. Those are all from India. There's a Japanese man who. These people I'm showing you are all around 8 feet tall. Look at that big boy. Mother. Now see, he looks perfectly genetically stable. And so does she. I'd date her. I'd date any of these. Well, not that one, but I would date a lot of these girls. Wow. There's a lot of love in there. Now that looks, well, they're pretty skinny. It could be either genetic or either way on that one. This is genetic. I'd like to see the DNA codes compared. Look at that, 2 big girls. Holy mother. There's a famous picture there. Perfectly proportioned. Beautiful woman. And they just keep coming. I'm starting to think there's more women that are in the giant mode than men. This man he had giganticism. And genetic. A lot of lady. Okay, so you can tell that this man has problems as well, which means he has the disease, not the genetic issues. And you can tell the difference because when they're genetic, they're not as deformed physically, and they don't need extra help to walk and such. There's two big people right there. There's another right there. Holy, she's big. She's on her knees, folks. On her knees. Wow. And that's a family. So she had one that just went nuts. Slow dancing with her, you have your face on her navel. So yeah, there's a lot of perfectly formed giants out there, and others not so much. And back in the day, you had the legends of the horn giants and this skull here, and of course the Anunnaki legends, Paracas skulls, yes, and of course the old ancient legends show the advanced civilizations. These are, I would say that the 19.5-foot version was probably the closest. Now, the further back you go in history, the more that you hear about giants, no matter what culture you're talking about. And another genetically formed, and of course this is the diseased fellow again. Big difference in body structures between the two types of person. And some of them are genetic, and some of them are defects. So there's a big fellow right there. The guy on the right is 5'8", and India. Actually, that's Asia. Oh, it is India. Huh? There's a smoking lady right there that is big enough to fill your cup. And of course a genetic mutation here. And the opposite end of the spectrum, 2-liter size. Well, that's a 3-liter size. And here's a fellow who's 7'11" with his own gigantic dog. This is one of the Russian fellows. And of course we know the famous footstep. Yeah. So here is a pygmy beside a giant. And this girl here is 7'2". Wow. This girl here is actually on the left. Oh, it's the same one? She's genetically, and back in the old days, of course, they'd have probably scenarios like that. And these are sisters. And of course, this is Mel. This is definitely DNA defect here, as well as this one. And you can tell because of the defects. The perfectly symmetrical, like this young lady, well, she's also on high heels as well. That takes a few inches. And come back to this guy. And this is also a genetic defect. This is not, but this is also a dwarf neck, standing between her legs. Oh, now that must have been just ridiculous. That's holding. Yeah, that's pretty tall. It's amazing how many are actually around. And as Tellinger here is pointing out, or Foster, whichever one it is. Forster. Let's see, those telephone booths are 7 feet, 3 inches tall. And he's not even standing upright. This is over in Iraq. So, yeah, there's some big boys over there as well. And, of course, my little Japanese fellow. World's smallest and world's biggest at the time. So, Russia is no stranger to this effect. That's a big boy right there. I don't even know what this is, but I'd like to go there. That's a big person. This is Sudanese wrestlers. These are both very big fellows. And the legends of the Anunnaki say that these fellows are all big. So, are they genetically descended from them, or is it a whole different reason altogether? Were these remnants of the race that used to populate this planet exclusively? No matter how you look at it, they're there, they're here, they've always been here, and they're probably not likely to go away anytime soon. So as you can see, giants are alive and well in the world today. Not all of them are defective. Not all of them have the giganticism. Some are just basically giants. So, there you have it. I mean, these women are, most of these are women, I noticed as I was going through. I mean, most of the pictures you find of giants in today's age are women. And that is an interesting thing. Very interesting, actually. It amazes me to see that there's so many women, actually. And beautiful women at that. It's exciting to know that giants, too, can be lovely. Not in all cases, but in a lot of them I noticed. That probably is because that the giants were attracted to the beautiful women, not the ugly ones. I'm just guessing, of course. So, it just seems that the genetic code is out there, and it's buried within our own, in certain cases, certain families. And, well, basically, you can't say giants never existed because they exist today. So, that's where I'm going to leave today's show, folks. And it's been great chatting with you again. And next week we'll have slice number 64, which likely will be late because I'm working quite a bit right now and all that. So, I will see you next week, folks, on slice number 64. Have a great day.
And then stand by your side.